Hi, it's Bill again. Just going to read some more from the scriptures and basically give you some understanding of the things I've been studying. And they don't teach us. These teachers, these preachers, they lie to us. They don't preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. They preach the gospel of self. Let me just say, there's two Jesus in the Bible. There are. Paul talked about it. They'll come preaching another Jesus. They'll preach another spirit, a Holy Spirit. They don't teach the truth. There's two images, the icon likeness. There's the image of the beast and there's the image of Christ. The image of the beast is the churches in the United States and all those people that are in it. They are conformed to the image of the world beast system, not to the image of Christ, the likeness of Christ. Now, let me. That being said, let me go to Genesis. I've been studying. Let me get my old guy glasses on. I'm not a teacher. I'm not a preacher. I'll never take a dime for anything I've learned of these scriptures. I cannot take money ever for what God has let me understand. I wouldn't trade what I understand for all the tea or whatever Bill Gates has or anybody else on this earth. Let me go. That being said, let me finish. I'll get started, I should say. Genesis 28 and 12. This is Jacob. And he had a dream, and behold, a ladder set up on earth, and the top of it reached to heaven. And behold, the angels of God ascending and descending on it. What are they talking about there? Angel in the Hebrew is the word malach, okay? And it means a messenger of God, an angel. The same thing in the Greek, angelos, which just means a messenger. If you teach the truth of the gospel, you are an angel. It doesn't always mean angelic angels. People that preach the gospel of Jesus Christ are messengers. It just means messenger. But it means when you go to the Hebrew, it also means prophets, priests, and teachers, ambassadors of God. So there have always been angels, messengers of God, being born into the earth, and when they die, they ascend back to where they came from, to be with the Lord that had written their names in the Lamb's book of life before the foundation of the world. They were priests and prophets and teachers that God sent to mankind throughout history. And we all know what Israel did to the Lord, the Prince of Peace, and all those that were before him. So let's look at what Jesus said. Let's break it down. John 1 and 51. And he said unto them, and said unto him, Verily, verily, which means of a truth, I say unto you, hereafter you shall see heaven open, and the angels of God ascending and descending upon the Son of Man. Heaven here. This book was written by a bunch of Roman Catholics. And God used them to deceive the American people because they will not go and look up these words and understand what they mean. They'll take the face value of English, which does not translate well from the Hebrew or the Greek, and it's hidden. And if you watch this and you learn something, it's because God wants you to learn. Most of you will turn this off in the first 5 minutes because God will not allow you to understand. You will grit your teeth. You'll say, this man is crazy, which is fine with me, and you'll go on your way. So to those that are leaving in the next 5 minutes, hasta la vista, baby. This wasn't meant for you. All right. Heaven here is the word Orenos. Okay? It translates the gospel, Christianity. It comes from the word oros, which means a mountain, as lifting itself from the plain. You shall see the gospel, the mountain of God, lift itself up above the plain, above the world. It is the birth of the New Testament church he's talking about. You're going to see. Interesting, isn't it? And it goes on. I'm going to repeat it again. Hereafter you shall see the heavens open and the angels of God ascending and descending upon the Son of Man. You will see the elect of God coming to the Son of Man that were born in that time and ascend back unto heaven where they came from. God birthed them on this earth, and when they left, they ascended back into heaven. They are the few that Jesus spoke of. Not many are going to heaven. This is the bad news that most of you won't. God does not love everybody. God does not love agape means walk is 2 John 6, walking in the commandments of God. That's what agape is. This is love, agape, that we should walk in the commandments of God. God does not write his words on the fleshly tables of every man's heart. No, these are the few that Jesus spoke of. The few that God loves, the few that will go into the narrow way. It says, Matthew 7:14, because strait is the gate, and narrow is the way that leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. Strait is the word stenos. It means there are many obstacles to either side of that gate before you get to it, like lust, epithemia, which means a longing for that's forbidden. It's in our nature. It's temptations and false preachers on either side of that, things that our flesh desires and we have to fight. Jesus said, strive to enter into the narrow gate. That word, strive, is the word agonizomai. It means, I wrote it down over here, agonizomai, to fight fervently, to strive, to enter in, to fight your flesh. Strive to enter in, agonizomai. The agon was a place where the arenas in Rome was the agon. Agonize. If you don't agonize against your sin, and you think you could just pray a prayer and walk an aisle, you have the mark of the beast, the world beast system. Let me go on here. Sorry. Straight. There are many obstacles to either side of that gate. And then it says, narrow is the way. Narrow is the word thelibo meno. It comes from the word thelibo, which means tribulation, anguish, troubles, sorrows, burdens. And the word meno, which means to endure, to stand in those tribulations. The way also there is the word hodos. It means a road, a journey, a highway. Because straight is the gate, and narrow is the way that leadeth unto life. And few there be that find it. Few are going to go in the narrow way. Life here is the word zoe, which is the stem of the word zupoeo, which is the word quickeneth, which means to make alive. Jesus quickeneth whom he wills. He saves who he wills. He makes whole. He saves who he wills, his elect. Those whose names were written in the Lamb's book of life before the foundations of the world. They are his elect, and we don't know who they are. Which leadeth unto life, quickening. And few there be that find it. It's not an it. This is not an it. It is feminine gender. This is a her. The church. Without a man picking up his cross. And what that means is to understand the gospel and speak out against the pseudo churches of the American churches. That's the narrow way. Thelibo meno, and suffering the consequences. That is your blood baptism. Baptism is not water. Your narrow way is your blood baptism. It's not water. Christianity is hard. It is not easy being a Christian is easy. No, it's not. Being a real Christian is not. Because you have to go up against these false churches and all these people that are made into the image of the beast. You tell them the truth, they'll hate you. They'll figuratively put you on a cross. They'll turn away from you. They'll kick you out of the churches. They'll speak bad about you. Any of them that listen to this will say, I'm a heretic. Because this is what the gospel says. Christianity's hard. Let's see if any of you recognize these scriptures and see if it makes sense to you, because it talks about the narrow way we were talking about. Listen to these scriptures. Do you think this just applied to those people those days? This is our scriptures that we have to live by. Hebrews 12:6. For who the Lord loveth, he chasteneth, disciplines, punishes, and scourges every son he receiveth, every son that he places in the narrow way. Philippians 1:29. For unto you it is given in behalf of Christ not only to believe, which is a gift, on him, but also to suffer for his sake. 2 Timothy 3:12. Yea, and all that shall live godly in Christ Jesus, who speak the truth, shall suffer persecution in the narrow way, in your blood baptism. 1 Thessalonians 3:3. That no man should be moved by these afflictions, for yourselves know that we were appointed thereunto. These are those that Jesus quickened, zupoeo, made alive, wrote his words on the fleshly tables of their hearts. There goes those given the gift, the doron, of faith. Gift is the word doron. It means a sacrifice. It means you're a sacrifice unto God. Those with the gift of faith, I'll say it again, they are a sacrifice unto God. They are loved by God, agape by God. Agape, 2 John 6, walking in the commandments of God. It means God gave them a new heart, a heart of flesh, a heart where God, with his very finger, write his laws, and they try to obey them. They are scourged and beaten. They are those who learn to pick up their cross in this life. They are those who go in the narrow way, the libomeno, enduring tribulations for the Lord's sake. They are those who are baptized with blood, a blood baptism, a death to self, picking up your cross. They are those that John 1:13 speak of. This is your birth, which were born not of blood, not in your bloodline, nor the will of the flesh, not from the flesh of your bloodline, nor the will of man, nor you or any man, but of God. We are born by God's will. It is nothing that man does. And I would say this again. James 1:13. The trying of your faith worketh patience. Your tribulations, your time that you'll spend in the narrow way, not being rude to people, but just telling them the truth, that their preachers have lied to them. They need to get out of those churches. They need to buy the books I spoke of. They need to study the idioms to understand the things that I've talked about here. Let me go back to this. James 1:3. The trying of your faith worketh patience. Patience here is the word hupomone. It means it works endurance. It works constancy, which means steadfastness of mind, under duress, under pressure. Fortitude and loyalty, or a state of being constant or unchanged, to be narrowed. Patience is to endure under the hand of God. Patience is enduring testing and fire, which builds your faith, which is your foundation, your understanding of the gospel. Patience brings about endurance, loyalty, steadfastness, a state of being unchanged by the world while you are in the narrow way, picking up your cross, speaking the truth, denying yourself, and it's God that does this work in you. You have a faith that works. It's not of our works. It's nothing that we can do. If God does not work in you, if God does not take you by the scruff of the neck and shake you, and you hear these words of the real gospel of Jesus Christ, I don't know why you're listening to me, but maybe one day, I don't know. I don't know when the timing is for God to open the little book of your heart to the pages where he wrote his words. He breaks the seals of our hearts. And then we can see. I didn't understand this when I was younger. Okay, let's look at James 1 and 4 to finish this thought. James 1 and 4, but let patience have her perfect work, that you may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. Now, let's see what we can get out of that, what the real meaning is. Didn't tell you much in the English, did it? Patience, we know what that means. Okay, we've learned about patience. It will have its perfect work in you that will make you perfect and entire, wanting nothing. Perfect is the word teleos here. Teleos means complete in your mental and moral character, completeness, full age, to be a man. That's what perfect means. It doesn't mean to be without sin. Perfect. You are being matured, completed, being taught by God how to be a man, and a mature man at that. Mature in your actions, mature in your words, in your understanding of the gospel, learning how to be a godly man, to be perfect, teleos, complete. And this is probably take the rest of your and my life. Narrow way, Talibo Monet, Mino, Hodos, enduring tribulations for our Lord's sake, in the Hodos, the road of your life, the way that few will travel. And Jesus said, fear not, little flock. Always a little flock. There's one more word we got to look at in James 1 and 4. We need to look at the Greek to understand this. Entire there. May be perfect and entire. Interesting word. The Jewish writers had a way of saying things twice. Well, this is interesting. Entire goes with perfect. Entire is hard to pronounce. Holokleros, holokleros mean complete in every part, i.e., to be perfectly sound in body. Entire means whole. It comes from the word holos, which means whole, complete, and the word kleros, which means inheritance, your lot in life. Entire means this is your inheritance, your lot in life. You were chosen, and God will complete you in every way. He will make you whole, narrowed, a man standing upright, carrying the cross of Christ, and there is nothing you could do to stop it. Your trials and fires will conform you into the image of Christ for those that God loves, agape, writes his commandments, his laws, his words on the fleshly tables of heart. There are those that are few that are going in the narrow way, but most. God tells you in the scriptures, he gives you a description of the people that are going in the wide way, the many, the wicked. This is in 2 Peter 2 and 12 talking about them. But these, as natural brute beasts, are made to be taken and destroyed. Made here. They were made is the word ganaso, which means they were born to be taken and destroyed. God made evil men. What does it say? Proverbs 16:4. The Lord hath made all things for himself, even the wicked for the day of evil. That's most of the people in the world. Let's see. Jude 4. There are certain men crept in unaware who were before of old ordained to this condemnation. Ungodly men. Ordained, paragrapho. It means written previously in the book where the names of those that are going to hell are written. Written previously. This tells us that their names were written previously somewhere in God's mind, those that are going to hell. So the many, there are other scriptures. Just go look them up. There are many that are going in the wide way. The wide way. Praying a sinner's prayer. There's no such thing. Eating the Eucharist, holding it up and saying, Hacketh corpus iam flea, and it turns into the literal body of Christ. That's a lie. He said, my flesh is flesh indeed, and my blood is drink indeed. Indeed is the word aletheis. It means of truth. To eat his flesh and drink his blood meant to participate in his truth, to tell the truth, to do the truth. He said about, to his disciples, I had a meat to eat of, which was to do the will of my Father. To eat something was to do it. To eat his flesh and drink his blood was an idiom back then. It meant to partake in a slaughter. It meant to be a martyr. When you partake of his truth, people will hate you. They hated him. They're going to hate us. But not for these people that are jumping around on TV and having concerts and they look like the world. Those people will hate me for sure. And one day they may even try to kill me for the truth because they are lying. And I'm going to expose their lies. You can't do anything to save yourself. That's the scary thing. There are very few people that are going to be with the Lord. Few. Few. Remember that word, few. And none of us have a choice. There's no such thing as free will. There's self-will in the Bible, which is going after everything that's in the world. Lust of the flesh, lust of the eye, and the pride of life. That's what Eve saw in the tree. I'm getting too long here. It's going to be a short one. But they've lied to us. The politicians and the preachers are liars. Remember that. The politicians and the preachers are cut from the same cloth. They're liars. And unfortunately, the scriptures tell us the deceived and the deceivers belong to God because God has deceived them. God has created the deceivers, and he does not love those people. To love those people means that he would have to write his words on the fleshly tables of their heart. And you can look around you and there's not too many people that have these words, these truths written on the fleshly tables of their heart. I'm not a preacher or a teacher. I'm just somebody, man, I've learned from somebody else. Yes, I did. I don't even want to talk about that because I don't want to put anybody down. one way or the other, as far as it might be a brother. Because there are very few that I would say are my brothers. None. I'm not your brother. If you go to a Baptist church or a Catholic church, you are enemies of God. You're enemies of the gospel. The gospel is the resurrection of Christ in us daily. Daily. We have to pick up a cross daily. You have to follow him, which means his words have to live on in your life. Christ in you, the hope of glory. I'm getting too long here because there is no truth. The sun has gone down over the prophets. There is nobody who speaks for God hardly anymore. The moon does not give her light or has turned to blood. It's an idiom. It means there's no truth coming from God in any of the pulpits of America. Oh well. I guess I said enough. The worst is coming right now. Everybody can see it. I hear people talking about, I'm going to say this and then I'm going to go. Everybody talks about they can feel something. They know something's coming. What you feel is the orge of man. It's palpable. It's everywhere. It's on your interstates. It's the anger, the orge of man, and God put it on men. They are the children of wrath. Orge. Orge is, you can't do that to me. That belongs to me. It's the selfishness of man, the revenge that man has in me. I'm going to get them back. That's what you feel. It is all around you. It is getting out of control here at the end time. It says it, and I'll just throw this out there about the wrath in Revelations. It's the orge, is what it's talking about. I'll have to do that another day. The wrath of man is getting to be so bad. Who can stand? It's not the wrath of God in that scripture. Who can stand up at this time of hatred and wrath and wars and selfishness? The lies of the politicians and the preachers that are so easily seen by everyone as far as the politicians goes, by a few as far as the preachers go. I will never have a big audience because God will not allow it. Because there are a few. I didn't think I was going to go close to 30 minutes, but that's enough for me. Hell is coming. Just recently, in the last couple of years, we know what we've been through with the tickets. We know what we've been through with the illegals that he sent into this country to eat up the crops, the money, to break the cities, to break the back of the American society. It's God that's destroying it. And these people are really, really, really brave with the things they demand. This is a different group of people who think they deserve everything given to them. The fact that they can go into city councils meetings and demand things from the city council, and they are breaking the law, and they're demanding things. The fact that they are not arrested and deported immediately Shows you that it's God that has messed with these politicians' minds, screwed them up. They cannot think rationally any longer. It's God that destroys America. That's the end for me. Till next time, maybe. I don't know when I'm going to quit doing this. Goodbye.